Hello, guys. It's Bob again. This time I am going to be talking about America's most exciting comic book, 1963, Book One, Mystery Incorporated. Um, Before I get into this, I never read this back in 1993. I This was not something that at the time would appeal to me. I had never read anything by Alan Moore until Spawn. And while I did like the Spawn issue, I was not a big fan of the Violator miniseries that came out that was written by Alan Moore. So that one didn't really do much for me. I had not read Watchmen or any of the Swamp Thing or anything like that. I had heard, the legends of this writer and everything. But when I would see this, I'm just like, okay, this is obviously like an homage to the Silver Age of comics. And to be honest, at that time, what was going on with me was, I was tired of the Silver Age of comics or, Bronze Age, whatever you want to call it. I was tired of every comic looking the same. I was tired of the same storylines and such. I wanted to see the new. I wanted the exciting. I wanted, Todd McFarlane and Eric Larson and Jim Lee. That's what I wanted in a book. And seeing this, I'm seeing the same thing we had for like 30 years, okay? That I was kind of tired of. So I didn't jump on here, and I was a complete and utter idiot for that. Now, in my old age, I can appreciate what this is, and this may have been my favorite Image title to come out. I do have all of these issues along with the recently released 1963 annual by Don Simpson, which in reality is not the 1963 annual, but something to basically, you know, uh, bitch about how they weren't unable to bring out that annual, and there was really no reason that couldn't happen. So we'll build up to that, and we'll talk about that, on the way. But this is book one of Mystery Incorporated, or of the 1963 series, okay? And it's entitled Mayhem on the Mystery Mile. So obviously what we have here is a Fantastic Four, okay? And I have to say also, it kills me that I'm like that much of an idiot that I could not have thought of things like this. Like is Alan Moore a genius, or did he just see that you could do this? And I don't know. He's making homages to existing characters. Obviously, again, this is Fantastic Four, and I like this better than anything Fantastic Four I've ever read. It's just what it was. I've never been a Fantastic Four fan. That's not a thing that's ever appealed to me. I remember seeing the cartoons and everything, and when I look at it, I see like Leave It to Beaver with superpowers, and it just never was not a thing for me. But here we have this character who's like obviously wearing a Mystery Incorporated suit, coming, bursting through this wall here, whatever, right? And he is going down this hallway, and he's getting hit by any of the defenses that are coming out, and he's just going right through them with no issue. When suddenly he starts getting covered in this like living crystal, and we can see here that there's a face in it, and he's like Crystal Man, right? And this guy's like, "Yep. Now, should you stop what you're doing, or do I have to get really rough with you?" And the person in this suit is like, "You're going to get rough with me?" That's kind of a laugh. He just shatters the man and keeps on going. So obviously he's the muscle of the team, and as we can see just from the cover, he's obviously the Thing. Okay. So now we're seeing these electrical sparks here coming out, and what we have is an electricity man, okay? And he zaps this person, again, the Thing, and it does nothing for him, but he reaches through the wall, and he grabs a water pipe, and he sprays this electrical being, which short circuits him, if you will, and puts him on the ground out of commission, okay? So as he continues down this hallway, which is called the Mystery Mile, now we have this smoke billowing out from one of the doorways. And we can see here that the smoke is actually the another member of Mystery Incorporated out to stop the thing from getting through. And apparently she has gaseous powers, okay? And what she did was she basically like removed all oxygen from around him, so like he can't see where he's going, he can't breathe. And then these other two members jump out and they're ready to take him down. So it was like he finally got bested by the woman of the team, and then he reverts back to his regular self, which I think was a thing that could happen with the Fantastic Four originally with Ben Grimm. I'm not sure, but his name is actually Biff. So again, a lot of similarities here with the Fantastic Four, but I have to be honest, the costumes, the characters, the writing, everything here works on me better than the Fantastic Four ever did. So that's wild. Okay. So basically, they're just talking about how far Biff had made it through the Mystery Mile. And had he continued on, he eventually would have been stopped by all of the contraptions that were created by the leader of the Mystery Incorporated, right? And then they start reminiscing about how they got their powers. And basically, the Sue Storm derivative here starts telling the story to them as if they don't remember the way that they got their own powers. But basically, there was a comet that came close to Earth, or asteroid that came close to Earth, and they were shot up in a rocket ship to that asteroid, where they found a stairway leading down to like a temple that had these statues of these 4 alien creatures. And when they stood on these tiles, they were imbued with these powers. And they went from being Tommy Baker, Biff Baker, Jeannie Morrow, and Craig Crandall, and instead became Planet, Kid Dynamo, Neon Queen, and Crystal Man. Okay? So those are the superhero names. So Jeannie here, or Neon Queen, she leaves the room, or actually before they leave, they go in here to go through all of their fan mail, and you can see here that they have bundles and bundles of fan mail. And something that really kind of cracks me up here is that we have Kid Dynamo here reading like the next or the 3rd issue of the 1963 comics, which I mean, I'm not sure how that works in this world, because I think all of them exist in the same universe. But she's going to go to her quarters or whatever, and when she goes into this room, she notices there's a stranger in here, right? And that stranger is like backing away from the maybe machine. Okay, so she immediately turns into gaseous form to try to like choke this guy, and this guy was already acting as if he was choking before she even did that. And then for some reason, like, he's still kind of backing away from the machine, and somehow he's not being affected by what she's doing. And he backs through the door, and I think when he does that, he just poof vanishes without a trace. Okay. So she alerts the rest of Mystery Incorporated, who come racing in, and the leader here, Crystal Man, starts going through the computers and everything, and trying to find, exactly what happened. And they're seeing the footprints from this intruder, and they're following it to the Mystery Machine, where they have determined that he left. Okay, because here's the burn marks here or whatever. So they are discussing like what this could have been, what happened here, who was this person, what did he do when he was here, and they think that maybe it was one of the creatures from their monster zoo that had escaped. But going through there, they determined that it wasn't. And then, so then they're wondering why he was there. Did he maybe plant a bomb on their mystery train? This is amazing. So what I'm thinking is they actually can travel anywhere in the world from this train that runs on the ground that they built in order to fight whatever, monsters they have to. They leave and they go into another room, and immediately Neon Girl gets trapped within this glass case. And she tries to turn in the gas to get out, but that doesn't seem to be working because it is airtight. and that's when the planet shatters that glass to release her. But now what's happening is it's all the defense mechanisms from Mystery Mile are coming out and fighting Mystery Incorporated, as if they were activated by that person that was there earlier. We also cut to above where we have Mr. Fury here, which will be the next issue of 1963, talking about the rumbling that the earthquake that they're experiencing because of all of the damage being caused by the defense mechanisms of the Mystery Mile. So I like that. That's a little, foreshadowing to things that are going to happen in the second issue. And I do like that. It's pretty wild. It kind of connects everything. So they keep trying to get away. Each one has to take care of the device that's after, whoever. So like if something got Neon Girl, the planet was the one that shattered it. And then when something was attacking Crystal Man, the planet comes over and shatters it. So, they're all helping each other. When Neon Girl's about to get sucked up into these vents, Crystal Man duplicates himself to block these vents so that she doesn't get sucked away. And as they're going, they run into a giant defense auto guard that was built by Crystal Man. And, of course, the planet runs in to fight him. But apparently this thing is too strong. So Crystal Man ends up jumping on top of him and encasing his head here, where he's able to go in and shut down the defense systems of that robot. Now, Kid Dynamo is following these footprints on his own when he comes into a room and finds the intruder in there and starts to fight him. So he tries to zap him, but this guy's like, that hurt even through this insulated suit. So it looks like he came prepared to fight the Mystery Incorporated. Now, we're getting little hints here and such of like who this person could be. This is the Image universe, and this is a person who's using a bow and arrow. We will get to that because I know that all of these books were leading up to something that would have been pretty awesome, but then was never finished, from what I understand, through no fault of anyone but Alan Moore, who just... we'll get to that story in a little bit as to what happened with that. But, so, he fires an arrow through Kid Dynamo. Kid Dynamo's like, you dummy, I'm electricity. You can't shoot electricity with an arrow. And, of course, the arrow hits a water line, which then floods Kid Dynamo here and short circuits him again. And then he just goes in for the attack, starts beating the crap out of him, which he does. And then Kid Dynamo dries off and he's able to turn back into electricity. But this guy brings out this little device on the tip of an arrow and sucks him in. And we see Kid Dynamo here floating around like all of this data. And he's just like, I don't know what this is. I don't feel right. It doesn't feel like being flesh or blood, and it doesn't feel like being electricity. And the intruder here is like, you're right where I want you to be, you insufferable little twerp. Your very particle is recorded into a strip of magnetic tape in this modified digital audio transfer device. Okay. So basically it's like a little, VHS player that he ended up sucking Kid Dynamo into. And then he goes off to continue what he was going to do. But he does give a little, again, foreshadowing here. He's like, don't be dispirited. You should feel honored. You see, you are the first pawn to be captured in the great and final war of the worlds. So apparently, again, this is building up to something huge. Unfortunately, we'll never really get to see that. So here we have Crystal Man on top of this robot here. He has him in total control. So now he's just using him as a body as he starts to maybe find out what's going on here. They start talking about the Maybe Machine and what the Maybe Machine is and what it does. So basically, he's saying, it sounded great that they had created a window through which we could study possible worlds that might have been. So basically, it's like a doorway into the multiverse, okay? Which is something that like Reed Richards would have done, and I love that they call it the Maybe Machine. Like it's so corny, but it's also so perfect. And just the things that come up with, if I was a kid and I was like, hey, I want to make, my own Fantastic Four or whatever, right? I would have tried to think of the coolest things I possibly could have. But here he is. He's just like, oh, I have Crystal Man, and it's something as simple as you had Johnny Storm, who's the Human Torch, and we have Kid Dynamo here, who's just pure electricity. I'm sorry, that's brilliant. Okay, that's I couldn't have thought of that if I tried, because I would have been trying to go a different route. And these things just work so well, in my opinion, because they were like the perfect homages to these other characters. Okay, but here we have Crystal Man explaining exactly how the Maybe Machine works and what it is we were seeing earlier when Neon Girl came across the intruder. And basically, he's stating that this guy had come from like back in time, and due to that, it created like an illusion, basically, of him traveling backwards when in reality he was like he was moving forwards. So it made the appearance of having two, like there was the real intruder was still there going through time as normal, whereas the false one was the one that Neon Girl had seen disappearing in a flash into the Baby Machine. And why he wasn't really like affected at first by what her gaseous power is because he was kind of already affected before she had hit him with it, because he was kind of going back in time. So now they're realizing that the intruder is still in the building, and that Kid Dynamo had raced off and probably got caught by that intruder. So they said that the only way that they're going to be able to find out what happened here or whatever is to jump into the Maybe Machine. Okay, and then that is the end of this issue. Okay. So it says right here, is this the end of Mr. Incorporated? We ain't saying nothing except be here in 30 days when the ferocious fury faces the void and a truly terrifying new super foe in When Wakes the War Beast. Say no more. I love it. Everything here is such a perfect homage to all of those older Marvel books and everything. Instead of giving enough said, say no more. It's I don't know. It was genius. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Now, would I have enjoyed this in 1993 if I read it? I'd have been like, no, I'm not getting anything new here that I would have wanted. I was a teenage boy, I wanted the extreme, grim, gritty stuff and everything. That's what I wanted. Now I'm a little more open to this type of stuff. I appreciate the older comics a lot more than I did when I was a kid. So yeah, I love these. I actually love these 1963 comics. We even have a letters page here for what is essentially the first issue of 1963, but they are actually pretending that this is not the first issue of 1963 or Mr. Incorporated, that there have been many, many issues of Mr. Incorporated beforehand. They even reference them from the editor in the story here. We have a nice pinup page of Crystal Man in a way we used to get from Jack Kirby at the end of some of the Marvel books. And we have Neon Queen. I keep calling her Neon Girl. She's Neon Queen. And then we have Kid Dynamo here. And then the Planet. So we had full page spreads of all of these characters. And that's fun. This is hilarious too, because Alan Moore was taking these weird ads that you would have gotten from these old books, and he's just kind of rewriting them to be hilarious stuff. And it's Shamed by You English. You can speak soon and write like a graduate college if me let you help for a day of 15 minutes, right? I love it. This is hilarious. If you have these books, give that a read if you never read that before, because it is just funny, okay? So there we go. We have book one of the 1963 series. I have them all. I enjoyed them. I'm going to probably piss a couple of people off here, but a couple of these books I ended up buying for like $5 to $10 a pop, something like that. But when I went to my comic store the other day, like I told you, they have the dollar bins, and they were selling books for $3 for $1. So it's like 33 cents basically. I picked up some of the other ones for 33 cents each, and in perfect condition. I also, let's see here. This one that I have of Tales of the Uncanny is signed by Steve Bissette. So I'm a little happy about that one there. But we'll get to that book a little later on. So guys, again, I want to thank you for watching. if you like this video at all, hit like. It helps my channel grow. If you'd like to see more videos like this, hit subscribe. I can't, say thank you enough for everyone subscribing. Currently at 100 subscribers, which is not a thing I thought would happen. So I want to thank you guys for doing that. And until next time.